At 315 meters long and 65 meters tall, this is one of the largest cruise ships on the planet, MSC Bellissima. This Leviathan carries over 5,500 guests to destinations all across Europe.
It's a self-sufficient city which has to be comfortable for the passengers.
How did engineers build a cruise ship this big? And what innovations keep it sailing all year round?
Cruise ships today are absolutely engineering marvels.
We unlock the secrets that help this vessel deliver a super smooth ride. From ingenious stabilizers that keep the ship level in the roughest seas, to near-silent propellers that thrust it fast through the water, to reveal what it takes to build the ultimate mega cruise ship. The Mediterranean coast. Tourists flock to these spectacular shores to soak up the area's rich history, culture, and sunshine. Over 3 million of them each year choose to take it all in from the comfort of a luxury mega cruise ship. 12 cruise operators, running a total of 40 supersized vessels, compete for a slice of the $60 billion Mediterranean holiday market. Success must be hard-won. Passengers demand 5-star service, spacious outdoor areas and big pools, and a varied itinerary stopping off at spectacular locations for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. To corner the market, operator MSC Cruises built this extraordinary cruise ship. It's called MSC Bellissima. 315 meters long, 43 meters wide, and 19 decks high. This is MSC's biggest ship, designed to operate year-round across the globe. Bellissima is built using innovative engineering hidden inside its mighty frame to help give passengers the ultimate cruise experience. A unique hull design allows it to glide into shallow European ports. Superfine membranes filter molecule-sized particles to turn salty sea into pure drinking water. An ingenious scrubber system cleans noxious chemicals from exhaust released above the deck. All these elements combine to make MSC Bellissima the ultimate cruise ship. 11 a.m., Barcelona, Spain. Bellissima opens its gangways to receive passengers. Immigration purser Alfonso Gargiulo has just 6 hours to get all of them aboard.
MSC Bellissima is almost fully booked. We have on board about 5,600 guests. This is the most critical moment for us.
Across the ship, the 1,500-strong crew complete final preparations before the vessel leaves port. Ahead lies a 7-night voyage, stopping at 6 iconic Mediterranean cities. From the port of Barcelona, Bellissima heads northeast along the Spanish and French coasts. First stop, Marseille. The voyage continues into Italian waters. Next stop, Genoa, to take on board vital supplies. From here, the ship heads southeast, stopping at Naples and Messina. The ship then calls into Valletta, Malta, before it makes the 1,200-kilometer trip back to Barcelona. Bellissima owes its origins to the classic liners of the early 20th century. These ships transported passengers across the Atlantic Ocean. They were the biggest vessels of their day. Their V-shaped hulls were designed to carve through oceans in all sea states. Bellissima is double the size of a traditional liner and carries triple the number of passengers. Building a ship this big, with a draft shallow enough to enter the most popular Mediterranean ports, is a huge engineering challenge. A ship's draft is the distance between the bottom of its keel and the waterline. The more load a ship carries, the deeper its draft becomes. A large traditional liner carries 2,000 passengers over 12 decks. The ship's 8.5-meter draft is shallow enough to enter most harbors. Today's mega cruise ships need extra decks to entertain thousands more passengers than the largest classic liners. Simply adding this extra weight to a standard liner design would make its draft so deep that the ship could run aground in port. Solving this problem fell to shipbuilders Chantier de l'Atlantique when they designed and built Bellissima back in 2016. The engineers at this facility in France weld over 1,000 tons of steel every week to construct MSC's fleet of mega cruise ships. Design manager Guillaume Lagris must balance every new vessel's size with its need for a shallow draft.
The first discussion we have when we design such a ship is to define the ports where the ship will go, and this will give us the main dimension of the ship. When you look at all the Mediterranean ports, the limit is about 330 meters for the length, and for the draft, 8.5 meters enables to go everywhere.
Guillaume sculpted Bellissima's hull to make the supersized cruise ship float higher in the water. A ship floats higher and reduces its draft when it spreads its weight over a larger area. Guillaume's team takes a traditional hull shape and stretches it longer and pulls the beam wider to 43 meters, increasing the area of its hull in contact with water compared to older designs. The team also flattens the keel for extra clearance over marine obstacles. On paper, this ingenious design means Bellissima can carry its 7,000 passengers and crew high above the waterline. The mighty cruise ship should glide into most ports with no danger of running aground. Bellissima's innovative design is just one part of the solution. Classic liners were constructed from thick steel plates riveted together. This made them strong, but also very heavy. Building Bellissima's huge structure using these traditional techniques and materials will cancel out the benefits of the ship's hull redesign. Any vessel still risks grounding if it weighs too much. At the shipyard, engineers use an innovative construction method to keep the frames of ships like Bellissima as light as possible. They build ships by welding together boxes made from weight-saving sheet steel. Project manager Elise Guérin oversees the operation.
For a steel engineer, it's quite a challenge. There are more than 300,000 parts which have to be welded together to form the ship.
Construction work began on Bellissima in November 2016. First, Robots welded together 3-meter by 20-meter steel sheets to make Bellissima's deck. They're less than 10 millimeters thick to save weight. Workers welded on lengths of metal called stiffeners to strengthen the decks. Next, computer-controlled plasma cutting machines sliced more steel to make the deck's walls.
It cuts up to 22 kilometers of steel every week. It is a very powerful cutting machine, which never stops.
A team of welders joined these wall pieces to the decks to make a giant reinforced hull section. Next, they joined together an average of 12 hull sections to build a mega block. This is a super huge ship section, 43 meters wide and 10 meters tall, weighing more than 1,000 tons. Elise's team used one of the most powerful gantry cranes in Europe to lift and place each of the 50 mega blocks that make up Bellissima. The crane operators had to align each block with millimeter precision.
Fitting a block is a big challenge. You've got a very small tolerance in order to be able to adjust the block to the ship. Every day we fit a new block. It's amazing.
It took Elise's team around 18 months to turn 35,000 tons of steel into the finished Bellissima. Mega blocks make it possible for engineers to build a vessel that weighs almost the same as a traditional liner, but is double the size. Constructing Bellissima from thin but tough steel keeps the ship's 7,000 passengers and crew high in the water and eliminates the possibility the ship will run aground in port. In Barcelona, immigration purser Alfonso checks in the last passengers.
I just informed the bridge, we are ready. A bit late, but all on.
The dockside crew releases Bellissima's mooring lines. The ship's huge engines thrust it out of Barcelona. The 8-day voyage begins. What ingenious technology makes the propellers on this mighty ship near silent? And how does it create 12 million liters of drinking water out of the salty sea? Cruise ship MSC Bellissima powers across the Mediterranean Sea towards the city of Marseille on the French coast. It's 10 p.m. on the first night of the ship's 8-day cruise. Most of the 5,600 passengers on board enjoy the evening in one of the ship's 32 bars and restaurants. Over 1,000 descend on the vessel's 2 theaters to watch live performances. At the end of the night, passengers retire to their cabins. Each one of them expects to wake up refreshed for their second day of cruising. Housekeeping manager Suprianto must ensure every passenger on board gets a good night's sleep.
When they go to bed, they don't want to listen to any noise. And when the ship is quiet, less vibration and everything, of course, satisfaction more.
The ship must travel overnight at a speed of up to 20 knots or 37 kilometers per hour to reach Marseille by 8 a.m. Below deck, 4 huge diesel-electric engines together produce 40 megawatts to power the vessel's pair of 6-meter diameter propellers. Insulation stops engine noise from disturbing the passengers sleeping up above. But this insulation does very little to quieten the noise made by the spinning propellers. The faster a propeller rotates, the more thrust it produces. An area of low pressure forms in front of each propeller blade as it slices through the water. The pressure is so low, the water boils. This creates thousands of tiny steam-filled bubbles on the surface of the blades. These bubbles pop. This phenomenon is called cavitation. One tiny bubble pop on its own doesn't matter. But thousands, all popping simultaneously, can send powerful, noisy vibrations pulsing through the entire ship. Bellissima must eliminate disturbing cavitation noise to guarantee the ship's passengers get a good night's sleep. It fell on the shoulders of hydrodynamic engineer Loïc Morand to solve this problem.
Cavitation is like a hammer which impacts a steel plate. It's very, very noisy and it's very disturbing. So we have to avoid these situations on the cruise ship, that's for sure.
Many traditional propellers have 3 blades. Their fast rotation generates huge thrust to push a ship forwards. But the propeller's fast turning speed creates noisy cavitation. One solution is to slow the propeller's rotation. This will generate fewer bubbles and cut cavitation noise. But slow propellers will reduce a ship's thrust. To bring the ship back up to speed, Loïc's team adds 2 extra blades to each of the ship's 2 propellers. 5 blades increases the propeller's surface area, pushing against the water. This boosts thrust for little increase in cavitation. These special propellers allow the ship's passengers and crew to enjoy both a fast and quiet ride. In this giant foundry, engineers forge propeller blades from an aluminium-bronze alloy. This alloy is over 90 times more resistant to corrosion than steel. Robots cut and polish the cooled metal according to a precise computer design to shape the 5 blades.
We usually make each blade in an independent way because the blade's geometry is very complex, which makes the manufacture also complex.
The individual blades slot into a central hub to create a giant 6-meter diameter propeller weighing over 30 tons. Bellissima's 2 propellers attach to a pair of mounts fixed to the ship's stern. In 2018, technicians used electronic meters to measure the cavitation noise made by Bellissima's propellers. They concluded the ship's propellers are amongst the quietest installed on any operational cruise ship.
We are very happy with the final results. We have reached a very good high-level performance.
In the Mediterranean, the ship sails serenely towards Marseille. The guests on board sleep peacefully.
During early morning, as you can see that the corridor is very quiet and you don't hear any noise. All our guests are sleeping well, so I'm so happy with this one.
At 8 a.m., Bellissima pulls into Marseille right on schedule. The passengers disembark. They enjoy all the sights and sounds of the famous French city before returning to the vessel 8 hours later. At 6 p.m., the ship sets sail once more. Destination, Genoa in Italy. Ahead lies a huge challenge for the ship's crew. They must keep over 5,600 passengers fed whilst navigating the vessel for over 2,000 kilometers through turbulent seas. What engineering secret helps this mega ship stay stable in the roughest waters? And what technology allows it to produce fresh water on demand?
Perfect.
8 a.m. day 3 of MSC Bellissima's 8-day voyage around the Mediterranean. The mighty cruise ship docks at the Italian port city of Genoa. Here, the crew loads 381 tons of provisions into the ship's 21 giant storerooms below deck. The supplies include 8 tons of flour, 14 tons of meat, and over 20 tons of fresh fruit. Bellissima now carries enough food to keep all passengers and crew fed for the remainder of the voyage. But this ship's lifeblood is fresh water. Servicing the needs of just one of the 7,000 passengers and crew on board consumes around 200 liters of water a day. The supersized ship's mega laundry room alone uses tens of thousands of liters of water to wash up to 13 tons of linen every 24 hours. This water must be clean and salt-free to keep the vessel running smoothly.
If we have, let's say, bad quality of water, of course it will affect in all the linens and towels. It will impact in really big hotel operation because it doesn't have linen for the restaurant, doesn't have towels for the pool, we stop.
Together, the ship's passengers, crew, and all its processes consume 12 million liters of water during a typical 8-day voyage. That's enough to fill nearly 5 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Supplying this amount of fresh water is a huge engineering challenge. Room on board the ship is at a premium. Cabins and entertainment areas take up 74% of the space on board. The engineering department and guest services, such as the laundry, occupy a further 23%. And the vessel's fuel, ballast and waste tanks another 2%. That leaves enough space to carry just 5 million liters of water. Less than half of the 12 million liters Bellissima needs to run systems and supply its 7,000 passengers and crew for their 8-day voyage. At this shipyard, engineers deploy an innovative technology to make sure Bellissima and its sister ships never run out of fresh water. Project manager Antoine Gondet oversees the operation.
If you don't have enough fresh water on board, then it can very, very quickly turn into a drama and you are forced to stop the cruise.
Hidden deep inside Bellissima is an ingenious system that turns over 1 million liters of seawater into fresh water each day. Pumps suck seawater into the ship through pipes in its hull. Layers of sand and special carbon filter out the largest pieces of debris. Next, filters remove microscopic contaminants 50 times smaller than a human hair. Then the water passes through columns, each containing a spiral of molecular membranes. The superfine membrane weave separates salt chloride ions from water molecules. Once free of salt, this fresh water is ready to use on board. The process converts almost 10 liters of water per second when the ship is at sea.
Because the cruise ship is spending half its time at sea, these plants have a huge production capacity to fulfill the needs of the vessel within half a day.
At the end of day 3 of the cruise, the mega ship departs Genoa and heads out into open sea. It's now the water plant below deck kicks into action. Powerful pumps pressurize the fresh water. They push the liquid through dozens of kilometers of plumbing woven throughout the ship. Vice President of Environmental Operations and Compliance, Minas Miatidis, must ensure the system works without a hitch.
Our production capability is over 3,000 cubic meters per day and distributed to over 2,000 cabins, the galleys, the laundry, and all other technical areas that we need to use fresh water.
20 giant tanks each hold up to 250,000 liters of desalinated water. This liquid must pass through one last process before it's fit for passengers to drink.
The final part is where we add the chlorination and where we manipulate the pH level of the water so we have absolutely crystal clear, perfectly tasty, good fresh water. Look at that.
Yeah.
Nice MSC Bellissima produced water. Salute. Perfect. Very good.
It's the morning of day 4 of Bellissima's cruise. The mega ship docks at Naples. Passengers disembark to visit the famous Roman ruins of Pompeii. They return to the vessel 6 hours later. The megaship leaves port en route to Messina on the island of Sicily. But new challenges lie ahead. Strong Sirocco winds can make this part of the journey very bumpy for the passengers and crew. What ingenious technology keeps this megaship stable in the roughest seas? And what is its secret for producing some of the cleanest emissions of any ship in its class? In the Mediterranean, MSC Bellissima powers across open water between Naples and the Sicilian city of Messina. It's dinner time on day 4 of the vessel's 8-day cruise. Thousands of passengers enjoy meals in one of the ship's 4 huge restaurants. Maitre d' Vincenzo Porzio must make sure every diner receives 5-star service.
The peak hour is start from 8:30 until 11 o'clock. We serve already, I think, 10,000 meals.
But feeding thousands of people every mealtime at sea is a big challenge. Sudden changes in weather can make this stretch of water rough and cause the ship to pitch and roll. Choppy seas make any ship move from side to side, risking spills and even injuries on the restaurant floor.
It's not easy to work with the rolling of the ship.
And if the ship encounters a big squall, the effects on board can be devastating. This dramatic footage shows cruise ship MV Astoria caught in stormy seas off the coast of the United Kingdom. Many passengers on board suffer nausea. One person is airlifted to hospital. The higher a ship floats in the water, the greater the effect can be of violent movements caused by rough seas. Bellissima's towering 65-meter height makes it vulnerable to a phenomenon called parametric rolling. Large, regularly timed waves hitting the ship head-on make the vessel seesaw. When a large wave reaches the back of the vessel, it makes the ship tip forwards. The way the weight is distributed across a ship this tall can then cause the vessel to roll to one side. When the next wave hits, it rolls back the other way. Each new movement is more extreme than the last. The rolling increases the chance of passengers suffering seasickness and ruining their holiday. At the shipyard where Bellissima was constructed, engineers worked to solve the problem. First, they identified the specific type of ship movement that causes passenger sickness.
We are more sensitive to the rolling motions than pitching motions. As soon as you have a very big ship is reacting faster to the waves. So in a sense, you will get higher accelerations, more like pong pong. Higher the accelerations you get, and a better chance you get to be seasick.
To minimize this rolling motion, engineers installed a pair of these fin-shaped stabilizers into the vessel's hull.
We need to have the most comfortable ship for the guests, so that's the reason why we need the stabilizers.
The stabilizers arrived at the shipyard as a pair of complete units, ready to plug into holes cut into the ship's hull. Hydraulic pistons move their articulated wing-shaped fins, measuring 5.6 meters long by 2.5 meters wide. These stabilizers are Bellissima's secret to smooth sailing in all weathers. Sensors on each stabilizer measure the direction and degree of the ship's roll. If the motion goes past just 1 degree, Bellissima's crew can deploy the pair of stabilizer fins stowed inside its hull. The fins work like wings to correct the ship's roll. If the sensors detect the ship rolling starboard, they automatically instruct the fins to rotate, shifting the vessel the other way. In big seas, the system works continuously to level out the rolling motion, ensuring Bellissima's passengers and crew experience a smooth ride. Up on the ship's bridge, officers monitor the weather. They take no chances on this stretch of water. They give the order to activate the stabilizers. It's the responsibility of Chief Engineer Luigi De Martino to make sure they deploy without a hitch. A pair of 1.6 meter long pistons turns bearings that swing each fin into position. A computer automatically adjusts the angle of the fins to counteract any roll caused by waves buffeting the ship.
In the bad weather condition, they're moving up to 16 degrees. 16 is the maximum angle allowed for a fin stabilizer.
Each fin is just 13% the width of Bellissima's hull, but their combined effect on the ship is huge.
This system can reduce up to 90% of the rolling motion of the ship. If the ship rolling 10 degrees, our stabilizer unit can be reduced to 1 degree. Now it's really impressive. The passengers are very glad to be on this ship because it's comfortable for everyone.
The vessel stays rock steady with the stabilizers deployed. They make it possible for Vincenzo's team to wait on every table without danger of being thrown off balance.
It's fantastic. It's amazing ship. We have the top technology of the world.
The vessel arrives at Messina on the morning of day 5 of the cruise. After a 10-hour stay in Sicily, it will power onwards to Malta, and this mega ship will face new engineering challenges. What innovative technology keeps the air around the outside decks free from noxious exhaust gases? And what's the secret to maneuvering this Leviathan into the tightest ports? 8 a.m., day 6 of MSC Bellissima's 8-day tour of the Mediterranean. The mighty cruise ship docks at Valletta, the capital of the island of Malta. Passengers disembark to explore the winding streets of the old city. On the ship, some guests relax on the sun deck, whilst others take the plunge in the vessel's water park. It's the job of pool supervisor Alonso Stewart to ensure nothing spoils the guests' outdoor fun.
Here we can have 600, maybe 700 passengers per day going around at the aqua park. It's a lot of people to keep happy, but the passengers come here to take fresh air. That's the important part.
Guaranteeing good air quality across a cruise ship's outside spaces is a tough challenge. The ship needs a reliable source of power to run all its essential systems and provide all services and passengers on board with a constant stream of electricity, even when the ship is docked. Bellissima's 4 diesel-electric motors work around the clock. At peak output, they produce 67 megawatts of electricity, enough to power 50,000 homes. Burning heavy fuel oil produces exhaust gases. Many cruise ships vent these fumes from funnels positioned above the top deck. These outlets on Bellissima are just a few meters above the ship's popular aqua park. Making sure passengers don't breathe harmful gases is a big engineering challenge. Classic liners solve the problem with long exhaust funnels. These release dirty, sulfurous fumes high above the top deck. Bellissima's uppermost public space is over 55 meters high, nearly twice that of a classic liner. And it's around 10 meters from the ship's exhaust outlet. Simply making Bellissima's funnels longer will create a big problem when the megaship enters ports spanned by low bridge decks. At this shipyard in France, workers race to finish building Bellissima's sister ship, MSC Virtuosa. A giant equipment install reveals both ships' secret to beating harmful fumes. A pair of huge steel drums, 5 meters in diameter and over 10 meters tall, each weighing 20 tons. They're called scrubbers. They remove almost all of the environmentally damaging sulfur compounds from the engine's waste gases as they move through the exhaust system.
The sulfur is really dangerous for health, but such machine like scrubber is able to very efficiently remove it, so we don't have to breathe it. So the scrubber will be in use every day.
Nozzles inside a scrubber's drum spray over 22,000 liters of seawater per minute into beds packed with metal filings. Engine exhaust gases rise through the moist beds. Pollutants dissolve into the water. Water droplets trickle down the inside of the drum and collect in a treatment chamber. Here, a chemical process separates the clean water from pollutant. The waste forms a sludge. Experts responsibly dispose of this waste on land when the ship is in port.
The scrubber is using seawater to rinse the exhaust gas. You can imagine being inside the scrubber, you can call it a crazy shower.
In the Mediterranean, Bellissima departs Valletta and powers forwards into open water. The ship's captain sets a course for its final stop, Barcelona. The scrubbers kick into high gear to clean waste gases ejected by the ship's 4 giant diesel-electric motors.
The system has the ability to remove 97% of the sulfur dioxide that is contained into the exhaust gas. And that sulfur, it never goes on the air, never goes in the sea, and then it is removed when we are in port. If you go out and if you sit on the open decks, you're going to see the big difference that the exhaust gas cleaning system has for everybody.
On the top deck, guests are busy racing down the water slides or working on their tans, oblivious to the ingenious technology working in the background.
We start this morning full from the first moment until the end. Today, the here is very nice. The passenger enjoy the slides 100%.
1,200 kilometers of open sea lie between the vessel and Barcelona. Will this giant ship arrive on schedule? And what is its secret for docking in the narrowest, busiest ports? In the Mediterranean, cruise ship MSC Bellissima closes in on Barcelona. The port city is the last stop on the mighty vessel's 8-day, 3,000-kilometer journey. It's the job of Captain Raffaele Pontecorvo to dock Bellissima inside the busy harbour. He and his officers must reverse the vessel 2 kilometers down this narrow channel to reach it. Parking backwards means the ship will be facing the right way for a fast departure later this afternoon. But guiding this ship to its berth is a huge challenge. The vessel's tall profile makes it vulnerable to high winds blowing it off course. One wrong move during the reversing maneuver and it could collide with another mega ship.
We have always to take care about the wind. It's really a big responsibility, taking in mind that you are the only responsible for the life of more than 7,000 people.
Bellissima relies on a responsive steering system to help guide it through narrow channels in all weather conditions. At the shipyard in France where the vessel was built, engineers prepare to install a sister ship's propulsion system. A pair of 20 megawatt electric motors in waterproof housings called podded thrusters. They work differently from fixed propeller propulsion systems. The pods swivel their propellers to direct thrust precisely where it's needed.
For this very big cruise ship, we prefer to use the pod. So all this unit can move 360 degrees, so that makes the maneuvering much easier, much faster, and which allows to the captain to be able to park the ship into the very complex harbor.
Bellissima carries a pair of podded thrusters at the rear. 4 fixed thrusters in the bow direct powerful jets of high-velocity water to help steer the ship from the front. Together, they make Bellissima highly nimble for such a huge vessel. Outside Barcelona port, Captain Raffaele engages the podded thrusters. They slowly turn the vessel through 180 degrees. The ship is ready to begin its 2-kilometer journey to its berth. The wind today is a favorable 8 kilometers per hour. But threading this giant ship through the port's entry channel is still no simple task. Moored up on one side is a mega cruise ship. On the other, a massive container vessel. It's the job of Environmental Engineering Officer Pasquale Maresca to help steer a perfect line between them.
We have a ship on port and starboard side, and we take care of the distance from port and starboard, because we have around 50 meters one side and 30-40 meters another side.
Pasquale relays readings from this laser measurer to track the distance between Bellissima and the moored megaships.
Distance from the bow to the aft.
Yes, at the moment 100.
Okay, we push a little bit more the bow to port.
Bellissima's berth comes into view.
Forward 40 meters.
Captain Raffaele turns the rear thrusters and pulses the bow thrusters to delicately maneuver the 315-meter-long ship alongside the quay.
Okay, okay.
Okay, we are in position, we proceed alongside. Okay, finish with the engine. Okay, thank you, staff.
The mega ship completes its 8-day, 3,000-kilometer voyage right on schedule.
The weather was nice. There was not more than 4 knots wind, good visibility. It was really good. It was fantastic.
Passengers disembark to return home after their Mediterranean adventure.
It's nice for the guests. They are very happy on board and they are upset when they are leaving it. So it means they really enjoy the vessel.
MSC Bellissima is one of the most innovative mega cruise ships in the world. Built into its mighty structure is a series of engineering marvels that make this ship the pinnacle of passenger vessel design. A wide hull and small draft allows it to slide into the shallowest ports. Extra quiet propellers drive the ship without disturbing the guests. An ingenious water plant turns salty sea into crystal clear drinking water. Fin stabilizers keep the ship steady in the roughest weather. Exhaust scrubbers clean waste gases and reduce noxious emissions. This giant passenger vessel is one of the world's biggest cruise ships. MSC Bellissima is built to be the ultimate.